Алло, да.
Hello.
Добрый день, уважаемые
Good afternoon, dear colleagues.
Добрый день, слушатели.
Good afternoon, our listeners. I would like to welcome you all at our event, at our section, Biotechnologies Without Borders. In this very difficult time, when borders are really here, this section and its name is very relevant to us. We're speaking about biotechnologies. We invited the leading speakers who represent production sector, startups, educational block. And even we have a foreign guest, and I would like to give the floor first. This is Laurent Gentzbittel. He is the director of Lab Digital Agriculture, Skoltech Institute, Skoltech, the Institute of Science and Technologies. Laurent, questions to you.
It's a great pleasure to meet you here during this difficult time, because it's not so usual for us to meet here foreign supplier, foreign scientists, foreign partners. And the questions are, how foreign technologies are implemented in Russia in current difficult situation? And we'd like to ask you about your vision of future trends here in Russian market, how we will cooperate this year, next year, and what about your opinion?
Okay, so thank you, dear Chairman. I'm very happy to be there today, and I prepared a couple of slides just to situate what my vision of the agri-food sector in. It does not work. This one. Okay. So I prepared a couple of slides to show the vision of Agro and what can be done. So if I can get the slides, please. Yeah, спасибо большое. First, I think that in Russia it's possible to start a smart green revolution, and this smart green revolution will be a combination of genome-based species improvement and digitalization of production, because Russia has very strong insights, very strong assets in digitalization, and we may improve what is related to genome-based species improvement. So if we look of what is the agri-food value chain generally, I would say that we can divide it in different sectors, from the customers to retailers, food companies, and traders. So this part is usually well known by customers because it is what you see when you go to the stores. Then there is a more hidden part of this industry that in fact is more complex and that makes most of the money. Traders that transport feed or food or commodities, farmers that grow these foods or produce the commodities, and a very quite unknown segment that is called the unknown companies, and it is also called agro supply. And this agro supply currently in Russia, it is a playground of a few public research institutes, but mostly it is a playground of foreign companies. Because for some commodities production, for some crops, or for example, for some cows, 80 to 85% of the technology is imported. And I think that Russia can overcome this situation. So, how to do it? In fact, there is only one solution, and it is an obvious solution that is well done everywhere. It is to develop R&D. What is important to understand is that R&D in Europe and in the US is the highest industry, is the industry with the highest R&D percentage of turnover. So if you compare, for example, Limagrin, that is a French company, it invests 14% of turnover in research and development. Compared to pharma, it is 10%, or even compared to average industry, it's 2%. So since 1.5 centuries, R&D in agro allows this industry to survive and to provide value, to create value for business. Also, there is a large number of evidences that there is a high return on R&D in Agro. So usually internal return rate is estimated between 20 and 40%. It depends on how you compute it. And it is clear that usually the investment generates a 10 to 1 return, but you have to account it not on 6 months, not on 1 year, but in a decade, for example. So it is something that need to be taken into account. Just a few success stories. This is a success story for one breeder association in the UK that sells sheep. So, okay, you may think, okay, sheep's not so exciting. Just look at the price of a lamb. 38 million rubles for one animal. One animal. You are the owner of this animal and you can earn 28 million rubles just by selling it. Why? Because this animal was produced through successive steps of technologies, know-how, pedigrees, and so on. And it has a very high value because its semen will be disseminated worldwide. And for each dose of semen, you will get revenue. So it's absolutely, so it is a cost of the animal, but it does not mean, it means that the company will earn much more even than the price of this animal. So this is an example for sheep. Another interesting example you probably don't know, it's the price of 1 kilo of seeds of tomatoes. 1 kilo of seeds of tomatoes is 4 kilo of gold. So for those who are interested to make money, I would say instead of investing in mining gold, perhaps you may invest in producing tomato seeds because you will earn 4 times more. And this is classical price. So this is the price from this morning. I check on the internet. And so this is 1 kilo of seeds is about 300 seeds. If you sell 10 seeds for $8, it makes that 1 kilo of seeds is 12 million rubles. So it's to show that this industry is very profitable. Just you have to find the investors and to have some, I would say, time to think about it. So there is no reason it cannot be implemented in Russia. And I think that in Russia, at Skoltech, we are focusing on the 2 last segments of the industry, so producing commodities and agro supply. And we are developing genome-based breeding and digitalization solutions for companies or for startups. Can be agro holding, but it can be also startups. And we are also developing some devices or softwares for remote sensing, sensors, big data, machine learning, and everything that is related to that. So the Skoltech Center for Agro-Technologies has 3 thrusts. So we can address questions in plant sciences. We can address questions in animal sciences. For example, we had recently a very big contract with Muratok with several thousands of cows to analyze. So it's really something major. And digitalization. So our aim is to help to lead the elevation of Russian agriculture and Russian companies to a global level. So to answer partly to one of your questions, I think this is doable. There is no reason that it is not doable. It may take time, it may take some means. Sometimes we will have to overcome some patent or intellectual property issues, but there is no reason that it cannot be done. So Skoltech, of course, it's a nice place for leveraging innovative technologies and in agro. So you can see in our center that we are spending 70% of our time to develop research programs for companies. So it is our aim. We are not doing basic research, something like that, but just developing this R&D and then follow up on the production of seeds and all on the chain, because we can discuss this point, but it's really an industry. So it's not because you are doing R&D that you fix the problems. Then you have to create all the value chain from producing the seeds, selling the seeds, and so on and so on. Thank you for your attention. Hope I wasn't too long.
Thank you very much, Laurent. I hope our colleagues will have chance to ask some questions after our section here, and Laurent will be here and will be available, I guess.
Yeah, with pleasure, please.
Хотел бы предоставить слово.
Now I would like to give the floor to the director of the company, BIOMIHM, Andrey Yatsenko. The company processes biomass, develops technologies on processing biomass, and within our period of time, 5-7 minutes, I would like to ask the following questions. You are a successful example how from lab volume lab technologies, you can get to industrial technologies. The first question, how did you manage to do this? The second question, who are the main buyers? What is your export potential? What export potential do you have in your products? The last question, plans for the future in this competitive world. You are welcome to answer these questions now. It's not so simple to scale up. Hello. You know, regarding the first question, I can say we are lucky. Initially, we had necessary components at hand. We had powerful lab in Moscow. We had staff, personnel, engineering, personnel who had experience in design of engineering enterprises. And we had also sleeping components during 7-8 years. They were just waiting for Coronian moment, and it appeared quite recently when the government helped us and opened the program on support of small and medium entrepreneurship. And our project was one of 2 or 3 which got financing in Moscow. And we had a loan of Bank of Moscow, also with the support of the regional authorities of Tula region. So in April 2020, we started to work, and now in May, we already launched a factory in Tula, 400 kilometers from Moscow. And I can answer the second question at once. When you communicate with banks, they want to see something evident from you. And you can't show your soul, you know, you can't show what you have inside you. That's why we just showed to them input substitution, and we can cover the gaps which we have. In this case, banks were happy, but we did not really what we really wanted in our soul, but still we have working production, working factory, and for us it's not a result, it's some kind of, it's like in between step, because microbiology, industrial microbiology, you need to have some starting point, industrial starting point, because infrastructure and confirmation with regulations takes a lot of time and money. And we created the basis on which we want the technopark in accordance with the example of the best cargo company, where there is a huge factory, cardio plant to destruct corn, and around this factory there are other factories which process what cargo destructs. We want also to build a big technopark, and there we would like to have industrial lines for industrial piloting, because those who face the problem of the initial biotech, it can be done in the lab, but you can't prove that it can scale up and that you know how it can be finished and it will be bought. Such experimental lines exist in all countries of the European Union, financed by the government, by the state. Any team can come and give a test product, give them to the potential customers. But we don't wait this from our government. We do this by ourselves and our private money. And we hope that as a result, when we have this working factory, we'll have an opportunity to build some connections, because biotechnology is really a lot of work to do. We don't now speak even about genetically modified products, but technological processes, especially fermentation, selection, and energetic processes, drying. This is a big space for new solutions, for streamlining, and we are ready to look for these new solutions to work with someone to implement this. This is one of our goals. And we started our work and then only became residents of Skolkovo. we built up the system of communication with the residents. Thank you very much. What plans for the future? And this year, next year? Now we are speaking, I think we are talking with Внешэкономбанк, and then in the future we want to expand. If the reality coincides with my dreams, this year we'll expand a lot, and maybe yeah. So we have quite ambitious plans. Do you choose the project on the basis of what the market wants, or do you choose the products which you are really interested in? I can say that in the second line there are some things which will not be understandable by banks. Regarding one product, we want to have a line 25,000 tons, but the Russian consumption 8,500. But this will give us an opportunity to transfer from bio to the products which are daily. Now we are working already with the Institute of several institutes of Academy of Science, and it's like wild card. So this is like a dream. Okay, so there is a lot of reserve. Is it because of export potential, or maybe you like to also take a share of other markets and of other products? Why is so much difference between consumption and production? I'm sure that Russia is the best country to develop, especially in the area of biotechnology, energy, people, logistics for Russia and Europe. And we have an understanding that some basic blocks of products we can make much cheaper than that can be made in China or, of course, in Europe. So this is satisfaction of our own demand, but also development of the market, because you know that there are sometimes people don't want to overpay for bio products and so on. That's why we have to get close a little bit to conventional. In this case, the market will expand. So people want this. Thank you very much. Let's applaud to Andrew. As I understand, so soon we'll have a new technopark, and it will be ready for new ideas, new startups. And after the section, please come to Andrew and speak with him. Take this technopark and be the first out of those who want to implement their technologies. I'm sure that colleagues will also share their experience. Now I would like to give the floor to our next speaker. This is Roman Kozyrev. Unlike the technopark, which will adapt new technologies, this is already a leader of our market. The leader in the area of high-tech processing, RUSTARK company, and so Roman is the director of this company, and I have several questions for you. What potential of import substitution do you have on the basis of development of your company? And the development are always growing. Have you ever had some support measures for your development and the institutes of development and the plans for the future, of course? Good afternoon. Thank you for invitation. Yes, it was already said. We are not a startup. We are a serious, quite big industrial group. We process grain of the Russian Federation, and on the whole, now I was listening to Andrew, and I felt a little bit a person from his future, maybe a person from his future, because on the whole, we have been doing this for a long time, and Andrew thinks about this like a dream, but we are already living this dream. What can I say? I agree with Andrew. Biotechnology is the basis of development for the future, one of the bases of the industry of the Russian Federation. And we now are speaking about industrial biotechnology. It's not about genetic engineering not about what Laurent said. He spoke about also genetic modification, but we're speaking about microbiological, microcatalytic processes in industrial scale when, for example, from natural polymer of starch, which we have in grain, in some other compounds, this biopolymer we use for converting it into the basis bricks, sugars, and out from these sugars we can do everything. Can do more than from even petrochemical industry. Can you help me and show the slides?
I would like to visualize what I'm actually saying, so could you please share my slides? If it's not possible, then yeah, I'll just proceed without them. Dear colleagues, dear organizers, can we share the slides, please? Right, next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, right, that's what I need. So, biotechnologies and biopolymers are promising products for us. We've been doing this for more than 10 years. Let us take a look at this scheme, this drawing. In the center, we see glucose, which is the monomer of the starch. And this is the basis for the production of a large number of different materials, such as polyethylene, polyurethane, and many, many others. So all the materials that we are using now, that we wear, from which we drink, from which we eat, that we throw away, it is plastic for us. This is quite an ecological challenge. And at the same time, it can be produced from starch. We can make it profitable and scale it up. A lot of materials are already produced from starch-based elements. We developed our production in Lipetsk. This is a special economic zone. But because of the pandemic and because of the current circumstances, we transformed our activities a little bit, and we will focus our efforts on import substitution. It's an open secret that a lot of organic elements that are used in food production to produce drinks, meals, food that we eat and consume on a daily basis, are not produced in Russia. We do have a successful case of import substitution. In 2018, we started to produce polysweetening agent or poly sugar. Now we are selling this new element for us in Russia, and we export it to 34 countries across the whole world. We are talking tons of products now, so it's indeed an industrial volume. Then we currently shifted our activities and we turned to the organic acids, such as the lemon acid and other acids. Well, perhaps it might sound strange to some of you that are not experts in microbiological processes, that you might be surprised to know that we don't produce now the citric acid or lemon acid. We import all this. Of course, this situation is quite risky for us now. Well, we all consume beverages like cola or anything like this. We start just when we are born, and we drink it till the very elderly age. We do not produce the lemon acid or citric acid, and we plan to start such a production now here in Russia. Secondly, we do have an experience in the field of import substitution. We've scaled it up to an industrial scale, and now we will elaborate on that furthermore. The practice has shown that first we need to substitute the input itself, then we can build up our production capacities, and then we can move on to the next stage, which is the export. Well, we know that we are a large country. We have and enjoy one of the largest agricultural areas. And now we are leaders in the production of wheat and grains. We continue to export these products. We have our production in Krasnodarsky Krai, it's in the south of Russia, and I was traveling to Moscow and I saw that the new crops are growing, so the situation is okay. And then I read in the newspaper that we have stocks only for 10 days, but this is not the reality for us now, because we do have a lot of crops now. So basically, my main idea is that first we do the import substitution. Then we learn how to manage this technology. Then we can scale it up to the extent that we can export this new product for us to some other countries. Maybe you've heard that currently there are some problems with the children's nutrition in the US. So we can also perhaps later on export. So the potential of Russia is just immense. It is great, and we have to unleash it. And we really need startups. We can't do it on our own. First, we need to train and educate professionals. Unfortunately, during the 60s of the previous century in the USSR, first they launched the education in this field, and that was quite successful. But after that, in the 90s of the previous century, we lost it all. So we now have to regain our activities in this respect, because then we started to import a lot. I would like to ask you, did you invest your commercial money, or did you get any help from anybody? Well, we have an industrial capital, and we invest our own money as well as we take some loans. We also have our financial partners. One of the main of our partners is Sberbank. Long live Sberbank, so to say. They finance our development quite largely. As to the support from the state that we are getting, we do enjoy the support measures from the government. Maybe I can also give some advice to those who will be listening to us. First and foremost, there are subsidies on investment credits. This is very important. One doesn't need to cut it down, because this is indeed needed for large industrial investment. So when we talk about the interest rate, either it's like 3% or 9%, for us it makes a huge difference. Because when we invest our industrial money, we are talking sums like dozens of billions of rubles, not just 1 billion. Then, jointly with the union of starch, we do lobbying, and we also get the consultations from the ministries in Russia that are responsible for this. Actually, all the measures are already there. They exist. The main challenge is to coordinate these measures, to overcome some bureaucratic obstacles, so to say. When we produce the products, for example, that still don't have any codes like business codes, we have some special business codes for different products. And for example, if we are talking about different new materials, such as some assets, then we cannot really identify what code we should add to this, such as, for example, polylactic acid. There is no such a code in the law now, so the ministries really help us to address these tasks. We still need to build a framework for this. So we in Skolkovo, we are among startups, we face young faces, young people, we are among universities, those who train people. We have a speaker from ITMO University. So what I would like to state first, we are interested, well, not so much in ideas, we do have our own ideas already. We are interested in qualified professionals. We are interested in people who will be dealing with biotechnologies, not to just get money for it, but we are interested in the people who really want to save our planet. Well, this is an ambitious goal because during the oil century, so to say, oil discovery, we have been polluting our planet, and we need to indeed get it back. Let's give Roman a round of applause. So we've heard that one of the leaders in this industry stands ready to cooperate with universities as well as with startups. And you can catch Roman right here, right now, after this session, and talk to him. Let's once again give Roman a round of applause. Now let's give the floor to a successful startup from Skolkovo. This is the company Agro and Oleg Zaitsev. They are dealing with the high-tech, with the reprocessing of different materials. So, could you please explain how your project is developing? What has influenced it? What are the obstacles that you faced as a biotechnological production with producing sun roots? And a couple of words about your plans for the future. Yes, great, dear colleagues. Thank you very much. Thank you for giving us the floor. Thank you, Skolkovo, for uniting all us here. And I'm very pleased to mention that we are all, we speakers here are on the same page, perhaps. That means that the topic was identified relevantly and as well as people who were invited here. So, on the one hand, biotechnology is something really far away from us. If we take a look at the scheme of romance that we saw, well, you have to be really an expert in this to understand what it means. But, well, basically, it's all about food, it's about healthy nutrition, it's about medicine and our daily life. Be that our clothing, packaging, and a lot of things that we enjoy due to biotechnologies. As to the current difficult situation, well, our project, it's first a startup, and we are working as a startup, and of course we're dealing with ventures and greenfield and etc. So we've been dealing with a lot of different obstacles. So we are producing and we are working with the sunroot or so-called artichoke or topinambur. There are different ways just to call it. So at some point of time they were just like yellow flowers, and it is accepted like this right now. But at the same time, it's about industry now, and our project is not only for Russia, but it's an international project. We want to make the artichoke the industrial culture, industrial agriculture. That's the task that we are addressing in Lipetsk. Currently, we have an industrial site, and we finished its construction last year. In this context, today, we face a challenge to enable the industrial development because, of course, there are some challenges such as logistics, international cooperation, and financing, so we have to deal with this all. We do try to create some alternative to traditional Russian sugar. We want to provide our food producers, children's nutrition producers, with some alternative to sugar. And it's very important that topinambur is a culture that is a great platform that could serve as the basis for even deeper or advanced processing with the usage of very complex biotechnologies. It is about cellulose, some biodegradable plastic materials, etc. But until we create this platform, well, we've already learned how to process wheats and corns, etc. But when it comes to sugars and topinambur, this is something new for us. It's very nice to mention that. Well, actually, Skolkovo helps us a lot. Such companies as ours need to survive at some point of time, and we really need the support in this respect. We've got some support from the MSP Corporation. This is another tool that is working in Russia now. Another problem is the absence of venture financing from banks. Banks in Russia doesn't really want to finance venture. They don't do it almost at all. This is also because of the government policy. I think that there should be some venture money that could be used for such kinds of projects. So today, we've become a project that can really provide for import substitution when it comes to food ingredients. Because everything that we are doing now was imported from abroad in the past. In Russia, it's an endless opportunities for the crops when it comes to the quality of our soil, when it comes to water supply. And the gerasol topinambur is a very nice culture which allows us to work with organic elements, and we want to get certified. We want to make gerasol topinambur an organic culture according to the certification. We also are dealing with the carbon, soil, working or tilling. This is another project that requests a lot of work from us, and we do hope to get some results in this respect. I think that industrial biotechnologies have promising future in Russia. It is not only about just R&D, it is also about industrial processing based on which we can develop the technologies. And in addition to gerasol topinambur, do you do anything else? You know, this is an unlimitless source of inspiration for us. So we currently are working only with the roots of this culture, and it will be quite enough for us for the upcoming couple of years. So we'll continue to dig into topinambur roots. Let us give Oleg a round of applause and thank him for this interesting presentation. So we've gave the floor to Technopark, to the large business, to startups, etc. But we know that the people is the key. And that's why we invited Mikhail Kurushkin, the dean of one of the faculties at ITMO University. I know that you are also working with business and address the goals of the business. So, a couple of questions. First, what are the programs that you offer at the university? Second, how did you involve business? I mean, the agricultural business. How did you establish communication with it? And third question, how do you develop startups? Do you have any? Maybe you can send some of your startups to Skolkovo in the upcoming future. Right. Good afternoon, dear friends. While my slides are being shared, I've prepared some. Well, actually, I'm representing a kind of a startup. This is a faculty of biotechnologies at ITMO University. I've been working on it for 21 months. Our main task as a faculty and mine as a dean is to offer master's programs that would be relevant for the real region and for the real industry. So, first and foremost, what we do, we analyze the current trends. For this, we talk to the experts in the community, such as FoodNet, NTI, as well as some other experts, such as Mr. Ivanov, Roman Ivanov, who is the head of the biotechnologies in Sirius. And we have a couple of programs, such as the master's degree Food Tech. We launched it jointly with Danone. So it is led by Olesa Volokh. She is the head of R&D at Danone, and she helps us with this. And the next program, the master's program, is Industrial Biotechnologies. We will launch it in 2022. The head of this program is Ruslan Al-Shahadat, also from one of the companies, the leading companies in the industry. Here you can see the main competencies that these programs include. We based it on the analysis of the current trends. In particular, of course, we discussed the alternatives in the field of the sources of our nutrition. And of course, we are talking about the biotechnological production of biologically active matters, etc., etc., everything that is connected to import substitution. So we continuously search for these relevant trends, and that's why we can work with some partners. On this slide, you can see the logos of the companies that I managed to involve in the work of our faculty. And here you can see the different forms of our cooperation with partners, such as, first, the simplest one, when we just invite the representatives of the companies to deliver some lectures for our students. For example, we invited colleagues from Danone, including the head of our program from Danone, Olesa. Then, of course, we conduct open door events, as well as we can add it with the labs, as well as some small serial production, just to test the concept. Then we can scale it up. Jointly with the company Nova Plus, we can continue to elaborate on that. That's how we can train the professionals that are needed by the industry and by the sector. That's how we close the gap, bridge the gap between the academia, so to say, the university and the market. So it's not that we just create our curricula in our heads. No, we ask people in the market what they really need from us, because we, for example, talk to some production sites, such as one production site in Sholkovo region. This is a region in the Moscow region. We ask them, like, how would they like us to increase the effectiveness of their staff? That's how we accumulate information, and that's how we build the competencies that we then offer to our partners. So I think that, after the individual or personalized medicine, personalized food, comes the personalized education, right? Well, right. I can actually so-called individualize the programs for particular students. So we can make customized solutions for companies as well, depending on what students and companies want from us. So do I take it correctly that if there is some need from the business, then you can train the professionals that the business needs? That's right, yes. Is it free of charge? That's right, that's free of charge. This year we have about 70 places available at the master's degree. Next year we'll have some more, much more, like over 100 free of charge places and vacancies for this master's program. Well, I think that we should really unite our efforts here, and that's what we can do. Let's give Mikhail a round of applause for his presentation. Indeed, this is an advanced university, an advanced faculty or department, and I think that they'll definitely be able to cooperate with some large business partners, such as the company of Roman, RUSTARK, the leaders in the industry, and they can also satisfy the needs of startups, because the more faculties like this we have, or institutions like this we have, those that focus on the biotechnologies development, the more successful our biotechnologies will become. Well, I was a vice rector of Timirazov Academy, and actually, I asked, like, what is biotechnologies? And it turned out that it is everything. It is about plants, it is about animals and technologies, how to work with animals, of course. This is also about chemistry. This is about organic elements. That's something with which we started today. Indeed, and the prospects here in the field of biotechnologies are just immense. They are unlimited, just as the topic of today's session. So the prospects, the future is very promising, and I think that during these difficult days that disrupt logistics as well as financing in some ways, of course, well, this is a chance, this is an opportunity for the development at the same time. This is an opportunity to implement the ideas that we all have. Once again, I'd like to thank everybody. We are closing our session. Just go after our speakers, ask your questions, have a good day. Use this time to develop the biotechnologies. Thank you.
ВК-звонки доступны везде и без ограничений. В 4К и с активным шумоподавлением. Будьте всегда на связи в ВК-звонках.
Встречайте приложение ВК-клипы. Удобный видеоредактор. Уникальные маски и эффекты. И стильные фильтры для обработки. Еще быстрее, проще, вертикальнее. Теперь в отдельном приложении ВК-клипы. Место встречи талантов.
Привет! Классно шьешь, варишь, печешь и вообще что-то производишь в Москве? Тогда сейчас самое время поверить в то, что ты делаешь, заявить о себе и занять свое место на рынке, пока другие не заняли. Смотри, это твоя дверь в новый мир. Открывай и узнай, чем мы можем тебе помочь. Москва-24 для бизнеса. Давай с нами.
Журнал «Эксперт» — это российский и международный бизнес, общественно-политические процессы, аналитика и прогнозы, рейтинги и интервью. Специальные условия на подписку на сайте expert.ru. «Эксперт» — настоящий деловой журнал.
Сделан из старых забытых вещей. из ночи и дня без обмана, из порванных струн и разбитых идей, из холода и тумана. Ты соткан из дыма и верных друзей, и разных незыблемых истин, из горя и радости, света теней. А может, из чьей-нибудь мысли. Ты сделан из так ненужных вещей, оставленных кем-то на входе. Ты сделан из очень хороших людей, и тебе